Have you ever stopped to think about how many Christians live without knowing profound truths that can transform their faith and their lives? Many seem to be lost, not understanding the power and richness of God's promises. Don't stay in the dark. It's time to illuminate your spiritual journey, to open your eyes to what truly matters. You are not alone in this search. Many face doubts, insecurities, and fears that keep them from a true connection with the divine. But there is a solution. As we analyze these truths together, you can discover a new path, a new understanding that renews your faith and brings joy to your heart. Join me on this journey of revelation and transformation. And let's move on to the first topic, but first, just check if you're subscribed to the channel, because the next videos will be a series of content that will help you improve your life. Okay, let's go to the first topic. 1. The fall of spiritual leaders and its impact on faith. Imagine a village high up on a mountain. Right in the center, there's a giant tower made of shining stones. This tower is the pride of everyone. For the villagers, it represents protection, wisdom, and strength. They believe that as long as the tower stands, nothing can shake their security. But one day, something unexpected happens. After years of storms, the tower begins to show cracks. First, small fissures that no one notices. Then, pieces start to fall. And then, on a day of strong winds, the tower completely collapses. People stand still, looking at the rubble, in disbelief. How could something so strong and imposing fall? This story is a metaphor for what happens when a spiritual leader, someone who should be an example of kindness and righteousness, makes grave mistakes or acts contrary to what they preach. The falling tower is like the people's trust in that leader. When this happens, the impact is profound and painful. People begin to ask difficult questions. If he, who seemed so wise, failed, will I also fail? Do the things he taught still make sense? How can I trust anything again if he has fallen? These doubts echo the collapse. They resonate deeply in people's hearts, generating fear, sadness, and even a sense of betrayal. After all, for many, these leaders are like guides in a dark path. Without them, it feels like the light goes out. Now, imagine that among the rubble of the tower, a villager finds a different stone. It was not part of the tower but was at its base, buried in the ground. This stone is solid, unbreakable, and he realizes that even with the collapse, it remained firm. This stone represents God, true faith, which does not depend on towers, leaders, or human constructions. It is at this moment that people learn an important lesson. Faith should not be based on people because people are human and fallible. Spiritual leaders can guide us, but they are not the source of truth. When a spiritual leader falls, it forces us to look within ourselves and ask, where is my true trust? Am I seeking my direct connection with God or just following someone? And here's the beauty of it all, even in the most painful falls, there is an opportunity for growth. Just as storms reveal the fragility of a poorly built tower, they also show the strength of the foundations. The main message is that true faith is like the firm rock that sustains everything, even when the structures around us crumble. God never makes mistakes, never collapses, and will always be there to rebuild what was lost. As difficult as it is to see a leader fall, it can be a chance to strengthen our own faith, learning to trust more in what is eternal and less in what is human. And remember, the tower may have fallen, but the firm stone never moved. 2. Signs of moral degradation in the world. In a quiet town, where the sun shone during the day and the stars illuminated the sky at night, there was a boy named Lucas. At just 12 years old, Lucas had an insatiable curiosity about the world around him. He would always sit next to his grandmother, listening intently to the stories she told about ancient prophecies, the Antichrist, and the end times. Her stories were full of vivid imagery and important lessons, and Lucas felt fascinated yet a little scared at the same time. One night, as a light rain fell outside and the wind gently blew, Lucas settled into his bed, covered with his favorite blanket. He held a book of prophecies he had found on his grandmother's shelf. With his heart racing, he began to read. The pages were yellowed and filled with handwritten letters, and each paragraph seemed to tell a secret from the past. But as sleep began to take over, Lucas closed his eyes and soon drifted into a dream. In the dream, Lucas found himself in a vast square, where a crowd of people was gathering, all with expressions of hope and anxiety. The place was surrounded by tall, imposing buildings, and a stage had been set up in the center of the square. A tall man, with a charming smile and eyes that sparkled like stars, was there, speaking to everyone. Lucas felt a wave of energy coursing through his body, as if something magical was about to happen. The man began to speak about a new world where all people would live in peace and harmony. He promised that the days of suffering and sadness would come to an end. The man's words sounded like music to the ears of the crowd, who applauded fervently. "I am the answer you have been waiting for," he proclaimed, and the crowd shouted in approval. But Lucas, even captivated by the powerful voice and seductive promises, felt a chill run down his spine. He remembered his grandmother's stories, which always spoke of the Antichrist, a figure who might seem good but actually brought deception and destruction. As the crowd cheered, Lucas decided to approach the man. He wanted to see up close who this individual was who promised so much. As he got closer, he noticed that behind the radiant smile lay a shadow of something disturbing. The man spoke of control, of unification under a single leadership. He mentioned that to achieve peace, everyone would need to accept his rules and follow his ways. With courage, Lucas raised his hand and asked, "But what about our freedom? What will happen to those who disagree with you?" The crowd fell silent, and the man looked at Lucas, his eyes shining with an intensity that made the boy's heart race. "Freedom. True freedom is living in harmony. Sometimes, we need to give up something to achieve what is best for everyone," replied the Antichrist, his voice soft and persuasive. At that moment, Lucas realized that the man's promises were wrapped in a subtle trap. He recalled the lessons his grandmother had taught him about discerning between truth and deception. "I can't accept this," he thought. "What seems good at first glance might hide something much worse." And, upon realizing this, he felt a strength emerge within him, as if a light were igniting in his heart. When Lucas woke up, the sun was already shining through the window. He sat up in bed, breathless, and reflected on the dream. The image of the charismatic man was still fresh in his mind, and he knew he needed to share this experience with his family and friends. During breakfast, he told his mother about the dream and how he felt alert, worried about what the man had promised. She listened attentively and, recognizing Lucas's seriousness, began to explain more about the prophecies and the figure of the Antichrist. "Lucas, it's important to know that the Antichrist can present himself in various forms. Sometimes, he disguises himself as something beautiful, but deep down, he brings the intention to deceive and control. The best way to protect yourself is to always seek the truth, have a pure heart, and remember what truly matters: love, freedom, and faith," she said with a loving look. With that, Lucas decided he needed to learn more. He began reading books about prophecies and discussing the topic with his friends at school. They would gather after class in a park, where they could openly talk about their discoveries and concerns. Lucas explained his dream and the deceptive nature of the Antichrist's promises. He encouraged them to question everything, to not accept everything they heard without first reflecting. "We should be like little detectives of the truth," he said enthusiastically. "We need to investigate and learn what's really happening around us. We can't let sweet words make us forget what's important." One afternoon, while they were discussing on a park bench, an older woman approached and began listening to their conversation. She smiled, and upon seeing Lucas and his friend's passion, decided to share her own story. "You are right to be concerned, children. The world is full of challenges, but the light will always find a way. What matters is what you have inside your hearts. Cultivate kindness, truth, and friendship, and you will be prepared to face any darkness that may arise." The woman's words left a lasting impression on Lucas and his friends. They understood that the fight against the Antichrist was not just about defeating a great villain but about keeping the light alive within themselves and each other. They began organizing meetings at their school to share these lessons, encouraging others to join them in the pursuit of truth and goodness. Lucas felt stronger and more determined than ever. With his friends by his side, they became beacons of hope in a world that sometimes seemed dark. Together, they learned that the true battle was against indifference and fear, and that by coming together, they could overcome any challenge, spreading love and light wherever they went. And so, Lucas became not only a curious student but a true defender of truth, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. Have you ever felt lost in a confusing and dark world? Lucas's story shows how questioning seductive promises can make a difference. He identified signs of moral degradation and discovered the value of freedom, love, and truth, becoming a defender of faith and hope for his friends and family. By downloading our ebook, you will find biblical prophecies that reveal the truth about technological control and how it affects your life. Practical strategies to regain your autonomy in a rapidly evolving digital world. Inspiring stories of people who, like you, felt lost but decided to fight for a better future and now live with hope and purpose. Okay, let's move on to the third topic. 3. The threat of the Antichrist and the signs of the end times. In a small village, surrounded by lush hills and blooming fields, lived a young girl named Sophia. Since she was little, she had listened to her grandfather's stories about ancient times and the promises of the future. The nights were filled with magic as they sat around the fireplace, and her grandfather spoke of signs and wonders that indicated the arrival of the end times. Sophia always paid attention, her eyes shining with curiosity and her mind full of questions. One night, while the stars twinkled in the sky, Sophia had an extraordinary dream. In the dream, she walked along a flower-covered path that led to a massive golden gate. As she approached, she noticed that the gate was surrounded by angels with radiant wings. They greeted her with warm smiles and told her that she was about to witness something very important. "You have been chosen to see the signs of the end times," explained one of the angels, with a voice soft as a whispering wind. "These signs are sent so that everyone can understand the importance of living with love and compassion." As she crossed the gate, Sophia found herself in a stunning landscape filled with vibrant colors and shimmering lights. In the center of this splendid vision stood a giant tree, its branches stretching toward the sky. Around the tree, people of all ages and cultures gathered, some dancing, others singing, all sharing a moment of joy. Sophia felt a wave of peace and happiness as she observed the scene. But suddenly, a dark cloud appeared on the horizon, blocking the sunlight. The joy began to dissipate, and a feeling of unease filled the air. People started to look around, worried about what was to come. Then, Sophia saw a shadowy figure emerge from the cloud, a tall creature cloaked in darkness, approaching the tree. Silence fell over the crowd, and Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. "I am the one who brings hidden truth," declared the shadowy figure, its voice resonating like thunder. "True peace comes from surrendering to my power. Forget your beliefs and accept the new order." Remembering her grandfather's stories about the signs of the Antichrist, Sophia knew that this being was not what it seemed. She felt a surge of courage within herself. With a heart full of love and determination, she stood up and spoke to the crowd. "We cannot let fear dominate us. True peace and joy come from within us, from the kindness and love we share." The people began to murmur in support, and the shadowy figure hesitated. The glow of the tree intensified, and a radiant light emanated from it, as if responding to Sophia's call. The dark creature tried to hide in the shadows, but the light followed it, illuminating its darkness. "Sophia is right," shouted a woman from the crowd. "We do not need to follow someone who wants to divide us. True unity is based on love and understanding." With every word, the light of the tree grew, enveloping everyone in a warm embrace. The darkness began to recede, and the shadowy figure, instead of advancing, started to disappear, like mist dissipating in the sunlight. The people joined hands, forming a circle around the tree, singing in unison. Together, they celebrated the light that had triumphed over darkness. When Sophia woke up, her heart was filled with joy. She remembered every detail of the dream and realized it was not just a vision, but an important message. She decided she needed to share this experience with her village so that everyone could understand the importance of staying united in love, especially in times of uncertainty. The next morning, Sophia went to the village square, where many gathered to chat and share stories. With a sparkle in her eyes, she told them about her dream and the signs she had seen. People listened attentively, and soon began discussing how they could support one another in times of difficulty. "If we ever face challenges, we must remember the strength we have together," said Sophia. "When we unite, we can overcome any shadow that tries to separate us." Inspired by Sophia's words, the villagers decided to organize regular meetings where they could share their hopes and concerns. They planted a tree in the center of the square as a symbol of unity and strength. The tree grew and flourished, becoming a place for gatherings, celebrations, and support. And so, Sophia became a leader in her village, always reminding everyone about the importance of loving and supporting one another. She knew that even when the world seemed dark, the light of love and unity could always prevail, guiding them through any uncertainties that might come. And as the sun shone over the village, Sophia smiled, knowing that together they were ready to face any challenge the future might hold. 4. The Last Days and the Revelation of the Antichrist. The last days, as described in various prophecies throughout history, represent a critical transitional phase for humanity. During this period, there is an intensification of events signaling the imminent end of times. Sacred prophecies and the teachings of great spiritual leaders warn that this is a moment when truth and lies will confront each other in an epic battle. At the center of this conflict emerges the enigmatic figure of the Antichrist, who is not merely a character but a representation of the evil forces seeking to divert human beings from their true spiritual purpose. The context of the prophecies. The prophecies that speak to us about the end of times are more than mere warnings, they are invitations to deep reflection on the state of the world and our lives. With the acceleration of globalization and the growing spiritual disconnection, humanity faces unprecedented challenges such as wars, environmental crises, and social divisions. These events are often seen as the signs preceding the arrival of the Antichrist. The end of times is not just a mystical concept but a reality manifesting in people's daily lives. The nature of the Antichrist. The Antichrist is described in the prophecies as a charismatic and manipulative entity that presents itself as a savior leader. Imagine a politician who promises to solve all the problems of a crisis-ridden country. He speaks eloquently, uses persuasive language, and promises prosperity and peace. This seductive figure is the Antichrist, who appears at a moment of vulnerability and despair, taking advantage of people's fear and uncertainty. The prophecies warn that many will fall into the Antichrist's trap, lured by the illusion of security and prosperity. Signs of the end times. The prophecies also reveal clear signs indicating the proximity of the end times. These signs include conflicts and wars, increasing tensions between nations, civil wars, and ethnic conflicts that generate chaos and suffering. Natural disasters, earthquakes, tsunamis, and extreme climate changes that devastate communities and leave people in despair. Social crises, rising poverty, inequality, and despair leading to the emergence of extremist and sectarian movements. Apostasy and spiritual deviation. Many people abandon their beliefs in search of easier and more convenient alternatives, ignoring the prophecies that warned them about the arrival of the Antichrist. These signs are not mere coincidences, they interconnect and form a pattern that, according to the prophecies, will culminate in the revelation of the Antichrist. The role of vigilance. In light of all these signs, the prophecies emphasized the importance of vigilance. Believers are called to strengthen their faith, to remain alert, and to resist the seductions of the Antichrist. Prayer, studying scriptures, and active participation in faith communities are essential. Imagine a lighthouse in a storm, guiding sailors to a safe harbor, this is how spirituality can serve as a guide in times of confusion. The spiritual struggle. The battle between the forces of good and evil intensifies as we approach the end of times. The Antichrist, as revealed in the prophecies, is not just an external threat but a struggle unfolding within each of us. The temptation to conform to worldly standards, to follow the seductive voice of the Antichrist, is a battle we all face. This internal struggle demands courage, integrity, and a deep connection with the divine. Hope amid chaos. The prophecies not only alert us about the Antichrist and the challenges of the end times but also offer a message of hope. Those who remain faithful and in communion with their spiritual values are promised victory. The light can never be extinguished, even in the darkest hours. The prophecies remind us that, despite adversities, goodness, compassion, and love will always triumph in the end. The call to action. During these critical times, it is essential for people to examine their lives and values. The prophecies encourage us to cultivate a sense of social responsibility, to work for the well-being of the community, and to remain steadfast in our convictions. The Antichrist thrives where there is despair and division, but unity and love can form a powerful barrier against his influences. As we look to the prophecies, we are reminded that the end of times is not only a period of challenge but an opportunity for personal and collective transformation. Each of us has the power to become a light in the midst of darkness, spreading hope and love where it is most needed. By doing so, we not only prepare ourselves to face the revelation of the Antichrist but also contribute to building a world where truth and goodness prevail over lies and darkness. 5. The role of personal choices in prophecies. The prophecies about the end times have been a source of fascination and reflection for many people throughout history. They are not merely predictions but also warnings about the consequences of our choices. How we decide to live, love, and act can have a profound impact not only on our lives but also on society as a whole. The concept of free will is central to these prophecies, especially when we consider the figure of the Antichrist, who represents moral corruption and a departure from the ethical values that sustain us. The influence of decisions. Every decision we make is like a stone thrown into a lake. The calm water reflects the peace we can bring to the world, while the ripples formed are the effects of our actions on those around us. When we examine the prophecies that speak of the end times, we realize that our choices can promote unity and solidarity or, conversely, fuel individualism and division, often associated with the Antichrist. For example, if a child chooses to be kind and help a peer, that simple action can trigger a wave of generosity, inspiring others to do the same. This chain of kindness is a way to combat the negative influence that the Antichrist represents. However, selfish and harmful decisions also have a profound impact. Imagine an adult who diverts resources intended to help the needy, thereby feeding corruption and disunity. This type of choice not only harms those in need but also creates an environment in which the Antichrist can thrive, as foretold in the prophecies about the end times. These decisions, which may seem small, have the potential to create a domino effect, where each negative choice accumulates, leading to a state of chaos and despair. The Antichrist and choices. The Antichrist is often depicted as the personification of evil, emerging at a time when humanity strays from its core values. The prophecies warn us about how the rise of the Antichrist may occur amid crises and social disorder. Thus, our daily choices, both individual and collective, are crucial in preventing this figure from gaining strength. The ability to discern between good and evil, altruism and selfishness, is essential. For example, think of a leader who decides to cut the budget of essential social programs to increase his own profits. This choice not only harms the community but also allows the Antichrist to infiltrate social structures, sowing distrust and hatred. On the other hand, a choice of compassion, such as someone dedicating their time to help the less fortunate, can illuminate an alternative path, challenging the dark narrative of the prophecies about the end times. The awakening of consciousness. The prophecies about the end times are not merely warnings, they also call us to an awakening of consciousness. This means we need to be mindful of our actions and their repercussions. We live in a world full of distractions that can divert us from our true purpose. The awakening of consciousness is essential to resist the seductions of the Antichrist. This call is an invitation for us to look inward and question, are my actions aligned with the values I cherish? When we become more aware of our choices, we begin to see how each act of kindness can have a positive impact. Imagine a group of children deciding to clean a local park. This simple act not only improves the community but also inspires other children to join in similar projects. This kind of collective action is a powerful way to resist the Antichrist, who seeks to divide and weaken the bonds between people. Every conscious choice we make can be a step toward a better future, even when the prophecies about the end times seem bleak. The importance of community. The role of community is vital in the fight against the forces of the Antichrist and in promoting values that resist the prophecies about the end times. When we unite around a common purpose, we have the power to create an environment that fosters solidarity and love. Groups that come together to help the needy, fight against injustices, or promote education have the potential to build a fairer and more equitable world. For example, imagine a group of neighbors gathering to create a food bank. They not only provide resources for those in need but also strengthen the community. This unity is a defense against the forces of the Antichrist, which thrive in environments of distrust and separation. When people work together, they create a safe and welcoming space that resists the threats that the prophecies associated with the end times alert us to. Hope in positive decisions. Although the prophecies may predict a bleak scenario regarding the end times, they also bring a message of hope. Every positive choice we make, no matter how small, is like a light shining in the darkness. If we choose to act with kindness, promote justice, and fight against oppression, we are challenging the Antichrist and building a brighter future. Consider the example of a community deciding to invest in education. By creating programs that teach practical skills, members not only improve their own lives but also empower future generations. Each act of investment in knowledge and learning is a way to resist the Antichrist, who often thrives in ignorance and fear. These initiatives are the foundation for building a world where light prevails over darkness, even in the face of prophecies that speak of the end times. The call to conscious action. Therefore, it is essential that each of us reflect on our daily decisions. The prophecies invite us to be proactive and conscious in our choices, seeking what is right and promoting those values in our communities. The end times can be interpreted as a call to responsibility, where every act of kindness and every ethical choice helps shape a more positive future. We all have the capacity to become agents of change, resisting the Antichrist through our daily choices and actions. Even when the prophecies seem dark, we have the power to create a world where hope, light, and unity prevail, challenging the negative influences around us. This transformation begins within each of us and expands as we act together, creating a positive impact that resonates throughout society and prepares us to face the challenges that the end times may bring. If you are interested in the role of personal choices in prophecies and want to understand how your decisions can impact the world around you, don't forget to leave a like. This helps YouTube recommend my videos to others, and the more interactions I receive, the more motivated I will be to bring content like this. Let's explore this topic together and make a difference. Alright, on to the sixth topic. 6. Signs of the End Times. The signs of the end times have fascinated and concerned people throughout history, inspiring deep discussions about the prophecies that permeate various religious traditions. Many believe that as we approach this moment, significant events and changes in the world will intensify, prompting humanity to reflect on its path and choices. Let's explore these signs in greater detail. One of the most frequently mentioned signs in prophecies is the growing disunity and division among people. This disunity can be seen in various forms: armed conflicts, wars, and social and political divisions that create an atmosphere of distrust and hostility. In many prophecies, this fragmentation is symbolized by the presence of the Antichrist, a figure that represents forces of division and destruction. The Antichrist is seen as someone who promotes selfishness, betrayal, and a lack of compassion, distancing people from fundamental ethical values and creating a sense of alienation. Thus, the prophecies warn us about the danger of allowing ourselves to be swayed by rhetoric that fosters separation instead of unity. Another important aspect of the prophecies is the natural disasters and extreme weather events. Devastating earthquakes, catastrophic floods, prolonged droughts, and other climatic phenomena are often interpreted as signs that the world is undergoing a drastic transformation. Sacred texts often describe these disasters as precursors to the end times, indicating that creation cries out for a return to harmony. As humanity faces the increasing intensity and frequency of these events, the connection between environmental devastation and the prophecies becomes more evident. These signs invite us to reflect on our relationship with the planet and the need to act responsibly. The deterioration of moral and ethical values is also a significant sign in the end times prophecies. Respect for human life and the rights of others seems to be fading in a world where violence and corruption are becoming increasingly common. The Antichrist, often associated with manipulation and deceit, is seen as a figure that embodies these distorted values, leading people to ignore fundamental principles of dignity and respect. This deterioration compels us to question our daily choices and consider whether we are contributing to an environment of empathy or indifference. Furthermore, the rise of modern technologies is also mentioned in the prophecies as a sign of the final times. While technology has the potential to connect people in new and exciting ways, it can also be a tool for control and manipulation. Information can be distorted, and the truth can be obscured, making the figure of the Antichrist even more relevant. In the prophecies, technology is seen as a means by which the Antichrist can exert influence, creating divisions and spreading misinformation. This duality invites us to ponder how we use technology and what values we choose to promote in our digital interactions. These signs urge us to reflect on the current condition of the world and the importance of acting with awareness and responsibility. Understanding the signs of the end times and the related prophecies challenges us to evaluate our everyday actions and decisions. By making choices that promote unity, justice, and compassion, we can not only resist the influence of the Antichrist but also cultivate a more positive and hopeful future. It is a call for each of us to take responsibility for our actions and seek to be a force for change in a world facing so many challenges. The signs of the end times may generate doubts and concerns. If you have questions or feel confused about prophecies, natural disasters, or disunity in the world, I am here to help. Leave your comments, and I will respond to clarify your doubts. Now, let's move on to the seventh topic. 7. The role of spirituality in prophecies. In a magical village nestled between majestic mountains and a lake that reflected the sunlight like a crystal mirror, a group of friends gathered at dusk, when the sky transformed into a palette of vibrant colors. Oranges, pinks, and violets danced in a symphony of beauty. The environment was so enchanting that it felt like it had come out of a fairy tale, where nature was the protagonist and every leaf whispered ancient secrets. The tall trees swayed gently, as if dancing to a soft melody, and the aroma of wildflowers filled the air, creating an atmosphere of tranquility. In this charming setting, the friends sat in a flowery field, surrounded by the chirping of birds and the soft murmur of the wind, ready to discuss profound and intriguing topics such as dreams, hopes, and, of course, the prophecies that shaped their future. The presence of spirituality was palpable, like an invisible energy connecting them to something greater, a force that transcended the everyday. Among them was Anna, a young woman with bright eyes and a vibrant heart, known for her insatiable curiosity. Always ready to explore new ideas, she brought to light the fascinating role of spirituality in understanding events that seemed to be approaching, especially concerning the dreaded end of times. With her warm and engaging manner, she always enlivened the conversations, and her friends listened intently, intrigued by her reflections on how spirituality could serve as a guide in uncertain times. "You know," Anna began, as she looked at the changing sky, "spirituality is like a compass that helps us find our way, even in the fiercest storms." She recalled a legend she had heard from her grandfather, a wise man who always spoke of the deep connections between spirituality and the challenges to come, particularly those related to the Antichrist. One time, my grandfather told me the story of the wise man of the mountain, Anna continued, her voice full of enthusiasm. He was a hermit who spent his days meditating in nature, observing the changes around him and listening to the whispers of the wind. The wise man said that before great transformations, it was crucial for people to look inward, connecting with something greater than themselves. He believed this spiritual connection was especially important when talking about the end of times. The friends were fascinated. Anna described how, on a cloudy day, the wise man decided to climb the highest mountain in the region. He wanted to find a place where he could meditate in peace. After a long journey, he reached a summit that offered a stunning view. As he contemplated the vastness of the world below, he began to feel a profound connection with nature and the universe. It was as if all the answers he sought were there, floating in the air around him. During his meditation, Anna continued, he realized that true preparation for facing difficulties began with spirituality. He used to say, when you connect with your inner self and the divine, you discover strengths you never knew you had. Spirituality was a light that guided people in the darkest nights, especially when the Antichrist tried to divert their attention. Lucas, the dreamer of the group, remembered a moment when he felt lost and distressed. He shared that, on a gray day, he decided to go to the lake and sit by the water. As he watched the gentle waves and the dance of light reflections, he began to feel a deep calm invade his being. It was as if the universe was embracing me, he explained. From that point on, I realized that spirituality could be a safe harbor, even amidst the storm. This kind of connection helped me deal with uncertainties, especially when I thought about the prophecies surrounding our future. Anna continued her narrative, emphasizing how the prophecies often spoke about the need to discern good from evil, especially in times of confusion, where the shadow of the Antichrist could be stronger. When our faith is strong, she said, we can see through lies and illusions. This vision is vital for preparing ourselves for the challenges that the end of times may bring us. With their eyes shining with expectation, the friends decided to create a monthly ritual where they would gather to share their experiences, reflections, and learnings about the prophecies that fascinated them so much. Each meeting would become an opportunity to strengthen their connection and seek a deeper understanding of their own spiritualities. They envisioned a space where they could discuss their doubts, fears, and hopes, creating a welcoming environment where everyone could feel at ease. On a night illuminated by bright stars and the soft glow of candles, Anna read a passage from an ancient book of wisdom that spoke about the nature of true spirituality. It's not just about beliefs, but about actions and intentions, she explained. The prophecies teach us that if we want to see a better world, we need to be the changes we wish for. This is the essence of spirituality, to act with love and compassion, especially when facing the darkness of the Antichrist. The friends reflected on how these teachings were crucial in a world where shadows could try to dominate. Each small act of kindness, each gesture of compassion, became a form of resistance against negative forces. They realized that by cultivating their spirituality, they were preparing not only for the challenges of the end times but also becoming lights that could guide others on their own journeys. As time passed, the small village transformed into a beacon of hope and change, where spirituality and prophecies intertwined in the lives of all. The friends became examples of how faith and spiritual connection could illuminate even the darkest paths, showing that together, they could face any challenge that the end times might present. Conversations under the starry sky became not only moments of reflection but true acts of love and courage, carrying the message that spirituality is a powerful ally in adversity. 8. The importance of spiritual preparation. In the context of prophecies and the end times, spiritual preparation is essential to equip us with the tools necessary to face the challenges that may arise. This preparation involves a set of practices and attitudes that strengthen our faith and connect us with our inner selves, helping us better understand our role in the grand scheme of things. Self-knowledge, the first step towards spiritual preparation is deep self-knowledge. This means not only knowing your superficial beliefs but diving into a more rigorous examination of who you really are. Ask yourself, what are my true beliefs, and how do my beliefs shape my reactions and decisions? This deep reflection allows you to become more aware of your weaknesses and strengths. For example, if you realize that you fear confronting the truth about the prophecy of the Antichrist, this recognition is the first step toward overcoming that fear. Meditation and prayer practices. Meditation and prayer are essential for deepening your spiritual connection. They provide a safe space to reflect and reconnect with your essence. While meditating, you can focus on specific themes, such as the prophecies that speak of the end times. Meditation can help calm the mind and find clarity amid chaos. During prayer, you can express your concerns and seek divine guidance, creating an intimate dialogue with the sacred. Imagine yourself, for example, in a moment of prayer, visualizing a divine light surrounding you, bringing comfort and courage. Study of Scriptures. The study of sacred texts is a powerful way to prepare spiritually. Many prophecies are contained in scriptures that talk about the end times. Take time to read and reflect on these passages. While studying, seek not only to understand the words but also the underlying message. For instance, when reading about the predictions related to the Antichrist, consider how these messages apply to your life and the current world. Taking notes or keeping a journal can help you record your thoughts and discoveries. Cultivating community. Connecting with others who share your beliefs is vital. A spiritual community offers emotional and spiritual support, allowing you to share experiences and reflections. Join study groups or prayer circles where you can discuss prophecies and the reality of the end times. These interactions enrich your understanding and provide a sense of belonging. Imagine yourself in a circle of friends, discussing your hopes and fears about the future, strengthening one another in faith. Practices of gratitude and compassion. Cultivating an attitude of gratitude and compassion transforms your perspective. Gratitude helps us recognize the blessings in our lives, even during difficult times. Practice thankfulness daily, reflecting on the small things you cherish. Compassion, in turn, connects us with others on a deeper level. In challenging times, acting with kindness can be a powerful antidote to negativity and the forces of the Antichrist. Imagine helping a neighbor in need or offering support to someone struggling, creating a positive impact around you. Discernment. Discernment is a crucial skill in times of uncertainty. It means being able to distinguish between the true and the false, the good and the bad. To develop this skill, be mindful of the information you consume and question its source. When reading about prophecies, ask yourself, is this information true? Where does it come from? Spiritual discernment helps us remain steadfast in our beliefs, avoiding being influenced by deceptive ideologies that may lead us astray. Imagine yourself in a situation where alarming news about the end times is shared. With discernment, you critically analyze the information before reacting. Proactive action. Spiritual preparation is not limited to the internal, it also requires external action. This may include participating in community activities, helping those in need, and engaging in projects that promote peace and justice. These actions not only strengthen your faith but also the community around you. When you actively engage, you create a positive environment that resists the forces of the Antichrist. Imagine yourself organizing a charity event, gathering friends and family to make a difference in the lives of others, promoting a wave of hope and solidarity. By integrating these practices into your life, you prepare for the challenges that may arise as prophecies unfold. Spiritual preparation is an ongoing journey, and every step you take strengthens your ability to confront the Antichrist and the events of the end times with faith and resilience. With determination and consistent spiritual practice, you become a beacon of light in a world that may sometimes seem dark. 9. The importance of intuition. Once upon a time, in a charming village called Lumina, nestled between majestic mountains and dense forests, there lived a young girl named Lila. From a young age, Lila was known for her insatiable curiosity and her unique way of perceiving the world around her. What made her special, however, was a rare gift, intuition. For Lila, this ability was like a beacon in the fog, always lighting her path in moments of doubt. One sunny morning, as the golden sunlight filtered through the windows of her home, Lila woke up with a strange feeling. It was as if a dark cloud was hovering over her head, bringing an inexplicable unease. She sat on the edge of her bed, closed her eyes, and took a deep breath, trying to hear the soft voice of her intuition. What is happening? She wondered. In that deep silence, the voice of intuition whispered in her mind, pay attention to the signs around you. Something important is about to happen. Determined to better understand this feeling, Lila put on her simplest dress, slipped on her sandals, and set out to explore the nearby forest. As she opened the door, the fresh, fragrant air enveloped her like a warm embrace, and the gentle breeze danced among the leaves, making them whisper ancient secrets. As she walked among the tall trees, whose green canopies filtered the sunlight, Lila began to notice small details that had previously gone unnoticed. The wildflowers, with their vibrant colors, leaned toward the light, the melodious singing of the birds echoed like a symphony, telling stories of love and adventure, and the sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating magical patterns that danced on the ground like fallen stars. As Lila ventured deeper into the forest, her heart raced with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Each step seemed to guide her closer to an unknown truth. Suddenly, she came across an ancient carved stone, covered in mysterious symbols worn by time. The stone emanated a soft glow, as if it were alive and pulsating with energy. When Lila touched it, a wave of electricity coursed through her body. It was at that moment that a terrifying image emerged in her mind, a shadowy figure, draped in a black cloak, with piercing eyes that seemed to penetrate her soul. It was the representation of the Antichrist. At the same time, Lila began to hear ancestral prophecies echoing in her mind, revealing stories about the end of times. She understood, at that moment, that she was facing a serious and powerful warning. With her heart racing and her mind confused, Lila decided to hurry back to the village. Each step she took was guided by her intuition, leading her to choose shorter and safer paths, while the forest around seemed to observe her progress. Upon arriving in the village square, she found a group of villagers gathered, discussing in hushed, worried tones rumors of an evil force threatening the peace of the community. Lila knew she had to share what she had seen. "Friends, I need to talk to you." Lila began, her voice trembling yet firm. "In the forest, I saw something very serious. I saw a symbol and an image of the Antichrist, and I heard prophecies about the end of times. We need to unite and stay alert." Some villagers looked at her skeptically, while others seemed intrigued, but there was a spark of concern in their eyes. Among them was old Elias, a wise man who had always believed in the importance of intuition. With his long white beard and a penetrating gaze that seemed to understand the mysteries of life, he knew that Lila's visions were something that could not be ignored. "Lila, what you saw is very serious. We need to prepare. Intuition is a gift we all have, and when we use it wisely, it can protect us from great dangers," he said, his voice deep and full of authority. Lila felt a sense of relief seeing that someone supported her. Determined to prepare the village, Lila and Elias decided to hold regular meetings. During these gatherings, the villagers shared their own experiences, feelings, and intuitions. A sense of camaraderie and unity began to form among them. Lila realized that the ability to feel things was not exclusive to her, everyone in the village had their own inner voices that could be heard. Together, they began to piece together a puzzle of signs and perceptions. On a full moon night, the village decided to hold a special ceremony. The sky was clear, and the stars shone like diamonds, creating a magical atmosphere. The villagers gathered in a large circle in the square, holding hands, ready to share their experiences and strengthen their bonds. Lila, with her heart pulsating with anxiety and hope, began to tell her story, describing the image of the Antichrist and the prophecies she had seen, and how her intuition had guided her to that moment. As each person spoke, Lila realized that there was a powerful force in the unity of the village. Everyone began to share their own intuitions and feelings, and the connection between them grew stronger with each word. Some reported unsettling dreams, others spoke of strange feelings that troubled them. Together, they formed a mosaic of experiences that revealed a common truth: they needed to be prepared and alert. That magical night, old Elias suggested that each person write down their intuitions and visions on small pieces of paper and place them in an ancient chest that belonged to their ancestors. This way, the village could keep a record of everything they felt and perceived. With everyone's help, the chest was soon filled with accounts, and the villagers began to use these records as a guide for their lives. As days passed, the strength of unity and the ability to listen to the inner voice became the foundation of the village. They not only prepared to face the shadows threatening their peace, but also thrived in times of light. Lila's intuition proved increasingly accurate, and her ability to hear the signs around her helped guide the village toward a safer future. With the community strengthened, Lila and the villagers decided to hold more meetings. These gatherings were not just about the challenges they faced, but also about the joys and achievements. They learned to celebrate their intuitions and recognize the importance of trusting what they felt. Each small victory became a reason for celebration, and the village became a place of joy and light. As the full moon illuminated the sky, Lila looked at her friends and felt a deep sense of gratitude. They had become more than just a village, they had transformed into a family. And together, they learned that intuition was a light that never dimmed, even in the darkest nights. With their hearts intertwined and their voices united, they were ready to face any challenge life presented, always alert for the signs that might appear on the horizon, even as the Antichrist seemed to draw near, bringing with it the prophecies of the end of times. Lila's story spread, inspiring other villages to unite in search of their own intuitions. And in every corner of the world, people began to listen to their inner voices, learning the importance of trusting their intuition, which always guided them toward the right path, even in times of uncertainty and fear. Lila and her community's journey became a living example of the power of intuition, showing that together, they could face any challenge, always ready to act with courage and unity. Well, we've reached the end of the video, but before we go, I would love for you to say, "I love Jesus." It would make me very happy and let me know you made it to the end. Okay, I've linked a video related to this one you just watched. I'm sure it will help you even more with your difficulties. Thank you for watching until now, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep receiving the content. See you in the next video.